For those of us who have played Star Citizen for some time, the amount of things you can do in-game is pretty astounding. Whilst there is still a lot missing, over the years real progress has been made, such that perhaps there's now room for a stepping stone feature to bridge the gap to the end goal for scanning and data, and that's an idea for quantum beacons. I'm Farrister, and this video tries to share what that idea is and why now might be the time. This is just an idea from a backer. I'm no game developer, but I do play a lot of Star Citizen, so like many of you watching, have a lot of thoughts about what would improve things. The long-term plan, as I understand it, is for the scanning system to incorporate an element of data sharing, whereby a player who stumbles across a cool location or some valuable minerals to mine or a derelict spacecraft for salvaging could save that location and sell it to another player. This suggestion absolutely does not change that end goal. The difficulty we have now is that we don't have that ability. So if you're out mining in a prospector but find an absolute motherload of gold too big for your prospector to handle, you kinda have to just leave it, or alternatively sit there yourself until you can bring in some friends to crack it. Even in large operations, that means that much of the time spent by scouts isn't actually scouting, it's sitting by a find waiting for somebody to come to you. Well, this suggestion is to use a variation on in-game systems to sort of address that. As of recent patches, it's possible for players to quantum travel back to ships that they own that have been left in the depths of space. The game recognises player-owned ships and presents a quantum beacon for it, at least during the same session. So, if you had a large enough ship, you could bring along smaller ships, put them on a location you wanted to save, and you could fly away and continue with your business, but then quantum travel back to them later in that same session. That's great if you're in an Idris loaded with Fury fighters to be able to just abandon ships to create markers, but clearly if you're in something smaller like a Vulture or Prospector, that wouldn't work. But if there was an in-game mechanic that implemented something small, maybe 1 SU crate size or maybe even a mining gadget size, that was treated as if it were a ship for quantum travel purposes, players could store them almost anywhere and place them down as needed to create a temporary quantum travel beacon, using existing game mechanics. Sure, it would be great if party members could also use that, but that probably involves more coding. But just something that a player could use themselves to mark a find, they could then jump back to it later with a more appropriate ship, or even jump to it and then have party members jump to them. For those in the business of finding things to mine or salvage, it could be a nice quality of life change that hopefully wouldn't be too difficult to implement, given that it would largely use the systems that currently work in-game. So, not quite to the end state of location and find data sharing, but perhaps a neat stepping stone along the way? To be clear, I certainly don't expect that anybody from Cloud Imperium Games watches this channel, although that would be very cool, or that I would have any influence on any such matters. I'm not a game developer, and as much as this sounds easy, it might actually be very difficult. But I thought it was a fun idea, so I thought I would share it and see if it generates any discussion, at least if I explain the idea well enough. You can let me know your thoughts in the video comments. As always, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, but would like YouTube to show you more videos like this, then you might want to press that button, but otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.